I grew up in a house full of Triumphs. I don't ever think there was an option that I wouldn't be riding a Triumph. I remember the walls of my dad's shed, they were just lined with like 1932, 33, 34, 35, different, and they'd go down in columns of all the little bits and pieces and mudguards, and it was like a Triumph warehouse. So it was inevitable I was going to ride a Triumph too. I'm Kathy Rock, and this is my 1956 Triumph Tiger T100. I was 12 years old when I got my first bike. It was a TY80, Yamaha TY, and I rode trials throughout my teenage years. But my first road bike was a Triumph L21, I think it was 35 or 36, really lightweight and easy for me to handle. I used to work in West Perth, so I'd drive my car on a Monday with all my uniforms in the back, and on Tuesday to Friday I'd take my bike, whip straight up Thomas Street and be able to change into my uniforms. Really enjoyed riding that bike. So after 12 months of riding a 1935 bike to work every day, which I know I shouldn't have done, I got a little bit tired of the rigid frame, the oil leaks, trying to kick it over every day. So I then started looking at some more modern bikes and went through Suzuki years and Harley Davidsons, and it was at that point that my dad said, "What will it take for me to get you off that Harley?" And we went into the workshop, and there were 5 boxes of bikes. So there were like frames, tanks, forks, all complete. And he said, "Take your pick." So I ruled out the I suppose it was basically a process of elimination. So I ruled out the 1930s, I've been there, done that, and wasn't really into the 70s styling at that stage. So the 50s I liked, and the bench seat had come in with the Triumphs. The suspension made it more enjoyable to ride, and I don't know, I really liked the lines of the 50s bikes. And yeah, it was me. 50s era is great in so many different ways, you know, like the fashions, the styles that the men and women wore, their haircuts, everything was great, even their motorcycles. And this is a test of that time. I like the styling of the Triumph. I like the colour blue. It's one of my favourite colours, so that was an added bonus. And just basically the bench seat, the sound, the bike fits me, and I really enjoy riding it. So I've been riding this bike for 2 years, and at first I had a lot of trouble kicking it over. And someone said to me, "You need a tri-spark with Nito." So that was the best move I ever made. It starts like a dream every single time. I think in the early days when I forgot that I had a battery starting it, I would go, "Why it's not kicking over?" But it's been fantastic. So when I chose this bike, my dad unfortunately had passed away by this stage, so a friend of the family has actually rebuilt the bike, and in exchange for a choice of one of the other boxes. So he did a really good job of that. My maintenance schedule is first class. It basically consists of cable ties, but they're good cable ties. Riding this bike is not a means of transport. It's basically, I get up one day and I feel like going for a ride, so I take my bike out. It's not a means of getting to a destination. The feeling is fantastic.